You've probably seen pictures of where you're going to live, right? So, maybe some of you already know that Americans in big cities like New York or Chicago often live in tall apartment buildings. Here, skyscrapers aren't just for offices and companies. I live on the 38th floor of my building here in New York, so I guess I'm an expert on urban life. Yeah, the view is great. And you can't hear all the noise up on the 38th floor. But for me and my friends who also live in tall buildings, city life in a small apartment isn't always that great. So we like to go to the different parks. But life in the suburbs, or even further away in rural areas, can be really different. Homes outside the cities are a lot bigger. I wish I had that much space. Most houses have big bedrooms with big built-in closets for all your stuff. They usually have big front yards and backyards, too. And out in the country, well, the fields go on forever. So you don't really need a park like I do when you have that much space. I see somebody has a question.
Does every house have its own swimming pool? That would be so cool.
Well, it depends on the region. In really warm states, like Arizona or Florida, sure, lots of homes have their own pool. But for most people, they're too expensive. And more people think they're just a waste of water. Anyway, the neighborhoods are usually quiet and safe outside the cities. So you see a lot of kids outside on their bikes or skateboards. But now for my next topic. School. Oh, come on. School is fun, especially in America.
Are you serious?
Very. You'll see. Anyway, most of you are 14, so you'll be at a middle school. Middle schools are usually for 7th and 8th grade. I'm in the 10th grade, so I go to a high school. High schools are usually for 9th to 12th grades. Anyway, your schools are usually pretty big and have long, wide hallways with hundreds and hundreds of lockers where you keep your bag and your books.
Just like in all the movies about American schools, it seems like the kids are always at their lockers and never in class.
Well, that's the movies. Believe me, you can only be in the hallways between classes. If you're in the hallways during class and you don't have a hall pass from your teacher, you'll be in trouble.
Hall passes just to be in the hallway? What if I have to go to the toilet?
For visits to the restroom, you always need a hall pass. Sorry.
What about dress codes? I hear American schools are strict about that too.
Thanks for that question. Yes, there are dress codes, and yes, you should take them seriously. But before you think that American schools are all about rules and hall passes and dress codes, I want to say that American schools can be a lot of fun. In America, you always change rooms for your next class. And so there's always lots of coming and going, lots of action the whole day. And every school has its own cafeteria. So that's another chance to meet old and new friends. And there are a lot of fun after-school activities too. Sports like baseball and soccer, or maybe different clubs like art club, cooking club, or the yearbook committee.
Excuse me, I have a question. You haven't mentioned football or cheerleaders yet. Can I be a cheerleader at my middle school? It looks like so much fun in the movies.
Well, most middle schools don't have football teams or cheerleaders. You have to wait till high school for that. But maybe there'll be neighbors who go to high school. They can take you to the big football and basketball games. Well, we're running out of time. So, before we watch that film, let me just say a thing or two about free time. American kids spend a lot of time in front of their computers and TVs. The same as you back home in your countries, I'm sure. But sports are important too. And lots of teenagers play sports for their school. It's very competitive between the sports teams at different schools. But even if you aren't really into sports, going to sports events is always fun. Otherwise, it's no surprise that you'll probably spend some time at your local shopping mall. It's where everyone goes to see and be seen, of course. But they're easy to get lost in. Some malls have 300 or 400 or even more stores. But we can talk about the best malls at lunch. Now, about that film. There was this really cool film project that some students at a high school here in New York made about teenage life in America, and it gives you a good idea.